Hey, it's Overcome Space Network. We're all about increasing assets and creating new space. Here to talk today about my grandpa. If my grandfather was still alive, he'd be 103 years old. He passed away in 2003, and my dad came to visit me at Wake Forest University in October of 2003. Came to the Clemson game. I dedicated that game to my grandfather, who I did not have any working memory of. I was born in 1980. He was born in 1921. He was born in Nigeria. He was born in Nigeria. We didn't have a relationship, partly because of family dynamics. He and my dad kind of fell out about some things. I didn't get to develop a relationship, but to my benefit, he wrote a memoir, or what he called an odyssey, in 2000, and I'm going to share that with you guys because there's so much to learn. When you come correct, I can't stop you. Odyssey, Chief Cyril Esamai Chukwuma, birth and early life. I was born in a village, Asaba in Abo, on the 18th of March, 1921, to Madame Ulami Olisa and Omodi Chukwuma, Okwede of Abo. My father, a prince in the family of Obi Ojum Bali. My mother hailed from the royal family of Obi Ugboma, also of Abo. I lived my early life at Ashaka, where my mother has a home of her own. In 1929, I was sent to Onitsha to live with my aunt, Madame Okwei Olisa. At Onitsha, I was sent to school, St. John's Primary School, Adapu. My teacher was the late Sir Patrick Boy. Being always lonely, I was returned to Oshaka early 1930 to live with my mother. I enrolled in Catholic school at Leo's Ashaka in class 1. I completed my primary education with earning certificate with distinction in 1938. I want to recall my teachers in Ashaka. Late Chief Ao Aluachuku, late Ubama Ijoma, late Peter Adaku, and finally, late Chief T.D. Rafu, who was headmaster from 1936 to 1938. Secondary education. I was admitted to Christ the King College, Onitsha, in January 1939 and completed my secondary education. It's December 1940, Junior Cambridge School Certificate. December 1942, Senior Cambridge School Certificate, Grade 1, with exemption from London matriculation. I was appointed Master in CKC in January 1943, lectured maths, biology, and religious knowledge in classes 1 and 2. Public service. I moved to Lagos in January 1944 seeking employment. I was employed by the Nigerian Railway in February 1944, third class standard grade clerk, and posted to Zaria in the northern region. My chief clerk in the district ruling subject office was Mr. E.D. Malkudi Ayoruba. I applied myself to hard work and study and took first position in the confirmation examination and was transferred back to Ibuti and settled in December 1946. My appointment was confirmed after 3 years probation service. Because of my dedication and service of duty, my progress was rapid. I was promoted second class clerk and appointed to head section with 2 or 3 clerks working under my supervision. 1st of April 1950, I was promoted to first class clerk and transferred to Enugu. At Enugu, I sat and was successful to be appointed staff assistant in training. There was a candidateship appointment for 3 years training. If one did well, at the end, one was sent overseas to study the railway system in Great Britain. My colleague was the late Mr. Ayo Imokedi. On arrival in London, England, Liverpool, State Street, I was assigned to study British railway operations in the then London northeastern region from Liverpool Street Station in London to Belfast. I was leased at Liverpool Street Station, London. I studied personnel management at the London City College, Moorgate, in addition to my practical study of British railway operations for 18 months. On completion of my training and study, I graduated first of the Chartered Institute of Secretaries, London, ACIS. On return to Nigeria in December 1956, I was interviewed by the then Civil Service Commission and promoted Assistant Establishment Officer. January 1957, I was promoted to Enugu. From Enugu, I was posted to Makurdi and later reposted to Enugu as Acting Establishment Officer in Level 8 salary scale. On the 1st of April 1958, I was promoted Establishment Officer and transferred back to Ibatu, the Weta Junction, Western District. The 1st of April 1959, I was transferred to Mechanical Workshop Ibatu, Weta CME office. 1st of January 1960, I was transferred to Chief Superintendent, Operating and Commercial Establishment Officer. 1st of January 1961, I was transferred to Chief Port, Mr. F.W. Alade. I was subsequently promoted again April 1st, 1972, level 15. I held that position for 4 years and retired voluntarily March 31st, 1976 on full pension. Family. I married Elizabeth Noyolum Ozodu Okafor on March 30th, 1947. We have the following children. Benjamin Obi, born July 2nd, 1950 in Lagos. Henry Odili, born June 6, 1952 in Lagos. Elizabeth Adobe, born August 19, 1954 in Lagos. Cyril Jr. Osai, born December 2nd, 1957 in Makurdi. Rita Ifeanyiwa, born January 8th, 1959 in Enugu. Claire Ojuza, born in Lagos, August 23rd, 1960. Anthony Obiosa, born in Lagos, June 15th, 1962. And Patrick Olisa, born March 13th, 1965 in Lagos. In May 19th, 1984, Philip Oboma was born in Abo, not with Grandma Elizabeth, but a new wife, upon Grandpa's return to settle in Abo. Further overseas studies. Following independence, 1960, I was awarded United Nations study course in the Netherlands to study advanced management. I left Nigeria in March 1962 to Holland and admitted into the Institute of Social Studies at The Hague to study public administration for 6 months. I graduated diploma in public administration with credit. After the course, our group undertook a tour of 6 European countries in Italy, Holland, France, Luxembourg, West Germany, and Switzerland. On my return to Nigeria, I resumed duty in Lagos as Chief Labor Lieutenant Officer in several management offices until my retirement. On retirement, I joined the firm of Mr. Ifatu Soti and Company Management Consultants. As a partner, I specialize in the following assignments: A, job evaluation and closurement; B, industrial relations and labor union matters; C, recruitment; D, selection and placement; E, salary administration. I worked with the company from July 1976 to 1982. My base quarters office was in Ikoyi, Lagos, from where I serviced all the work sites in Maiduguri, Kano, Bauchi, and Wari. I made constant air travel to the east and northern parts of the country. I had a regional office at Kano and Maiduguri. I had a satellite office in Kano and Maiduguri. During my service to the company constructed the following army barracks: Maiduguri, Bama, Mongino, Bauchi. In 1980, I was granted leave of absence and allowed to spend the leave in Sierra Leone and London at the company expense. I decided to finally return to my village Abo to settle and enjoy my well-deserved retirement. I built my home in my family quarters, Ogbendanike, in 1982. I moved from Lagos to Abo, January 3rd, 1983. I encountered a stiff opposition from my wife, who bluntly refused to return to Abo with me and I opted to settle in my house, the Ojinde Giwa Street, Suliri, Lagos. I braved the situation and returned alone to my hometown of Abo, driving myself alone in my car. On return, I settled in my house and married a second wife, Oluma. The union produced a male child, Uboma, on the 9th of May, 1984. I took chieftaincy title Omodi in September 1987 and became a member of the Obi of Abo chief. The Obinzuela Council met every Ike Ulam to deliberate the matters of the moment. Pertaining to good government of the Native Authority Council, the welfare of the inhabitants of Abo, and lately the Ndukwa East Local Government Area of Delta State. A chief's job concerns the good government of the local inhabitants, provision of basic amenities and security matters, adjudicating in family disagreements and disputes. Local government, with the creation of the Ndukwe East Local Government with headquarters in Abo in August 1991. As High Chief, I assisted in settling local government staff at Abo, selection of offices and quarters. On a part-time basis, I was appointed member of the Local Government and Bureau Education Authority from the inception of the LGA in 1991. I have served in this board till date. Religion, I was born a Catholic, and on return to my hometown, I joined hands with other Abo individuals to found a Catholic church in Abo town. With ministers A.I. Onye, Jack Wally, and Augustine Abumani and Cyril Chikuma, we established St. Peter Catholic Church in Abo. We secured a site, built the church house and mission house in Obe Ismaila, Abo in 1983. The church was raised to parish status with Reverend Father Rupert Osiah Oputa as the first resident parish priest in 1987. The current Reverend Father, the second resident Catholic priest, was trained as a seminarian by our contribution in prayer. Reverend Friar Oliver Ofor has faithfully served Abo Parish for 5 years. In August 1997, Reverend Friar Aputu replaced Reverend Ofor as the Catholic priest for Abo. November 8th, 1998, I decided to normalize my marriage to Oluwa Uzo Osai, the mother of my youngest child, and pay the bride price to her people. I record the names and positions of my children and grandchildren in their order. I have not as yet produced a great-grandchild. Chief Cyril Asamai Chukuma, 1921. Dr. Benjamin Obi, 1950. Ojeni Obi Jr. Odili. Henry Odili, 1952. Ojazu Odili Jr. Elizabeth Edobi, 1954. Nikkei Borderline Ladepo. Cyril Jr., 1957. Alexis Osai Jr. Rita, 1959. Folaren Banki. Claire Ojozu. Anthony, 1962. Dr. Patrick Olisa, 1965. Isaac Esemai, and then Ogboma, 1984. Property. The house at Ashaka, I built this house on my mother's land, which I bought from the Ashaka landowners. My mother lived in the house with my sister and my brother's wife and children. My mother died in 1965. My brother moved to his house at Abo and died in 1997. My brother's wife and children continued to live in my house at Ashaka until my brother's wife died in 1999. My brother's children vacated the house on their own free will and alleged that their mother asked them to vacate the house on her death. The house now reverts to me in January 1999. House at 23 Ajinide Giwa Street, Suliri, Lagos. My son Henry Odili Chukuma now lives there with my wife, who refused to return to Abo. House in 15 Madikwe Street, Imo Gubali. I live here with my second wife and child Uboma. It is my desire that this house remains the house of all of my children. I also desire that Ine Uboma should live in that house for life. She helped me and saved me in my old and retirement age. Real talk, this page was hard to decipher. Stocks and shares Nigerian Brewery. I have shares in Clarion Bank, Ebete Wate, where I keep my savings account in Levesting Motors. I'm just guessing. I deposed most of my shares when I decided to return to Abo and settle at home. My account in New Nigeria Bank is where I keep most of my pension money and cash at house. I've been paid my Harmwatzot salary arrears. My pay adjusts in November by government order and is transferred to UBA Aba in Adokwa West local government area. I was hospitalized at Awale on July 5th, 2000, where I spent a week recovering. And I was discharged July 7th, 2000. Will and Last Testament. In the event of my death, I bequeath my assets as follows. My houses I pass on to my children, Dr. Benjamin Obi Chukuma, Mr. Henry Odili Chukuma, Mr. Cyril Osai Chukuma, Madame Elizabeth Adobe Chukuma, Madame Rita Ifeinwa Chukuma, Mrs. Claire Ojuzu Asuemi, Mr. Anthony Obiosa Chukuma, Dr. Patrick Olisa Chukuma, Master Uboma Philip Chukuma, Cyril Esuemi Chukuma, Abo, May 16th, 2001. So the recent recordings on my grandfather Cyril Chukuma's Odyssey has taken place upon my return trip from Nigeria. So while I was in Nigeria, I spent a few days with my uncle Patrick, stayed at his residence in Ikoyi, and got some feedback. I got to read the Odyssey with my uncle, who clarified some topics for me, helped me with some pronunciation, which I'm sure I'm still doing wrong for the most part. But major takeaway was just kind of there's still something missing in that there was things about my grandfather that his kids didn't know. There was parts of his life that he just didn't share. So my uncle didn't really have the answers either. And that's sad, unfortunately, because he had what sounds like a great career, but the family life wasn't ideal. There wasn't. Family members would argue that they didn't really get a lot of expression of love in the house. They went to church. They had love from both their parents, but the expression of love was not something that was a chief priority in the household, and it has impact generations later as far as how we interact with one another. I have cousins that I literally have either never met or only engaged with them a couple times. That on my mother's side, there's a lot of close relationship with my cousins. On my father's side, not much. And I think it starts really at the top of the house with that, as far as what was taught to my parents, to my dad and his siblings, it's then transferred to us. And as a result, we don't necessarily have that deep of a relationship. In study, I graduated finally of the Chartered United, still eating.